Hi, it's Kirby Summers. It is April 28th, 2025. It is Monday morning, and I have been trying to catch up on the latest regarding the tragic end of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, and have come across some very startling new information that I'm going to share with you. And I'm doing this sort of, it's New York time. It's just a little bit after 3 o'clock in the morning, but I know a lot of you are following from Australia, from the UK, so you're probably going to be waking up to this. So Virginia had hired an attorney by the name of karrielouden, who has represented her since the new year with regards to what was happening between her and Robbie. Now, well, I will get back to that. However, this attorney, Carrie, was one of the first people who arrived at the house. Let's call it the farm, the property, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of like a farm. When news of her unalivement broke, and what she had to say is quite unusual. So what she said was that a team of major crime cops raced to the scene and spent 10 to 12 hours removing evidence at the property. I'm going to repeat that because that raises a lot of questions. A team of major crime cops raced to the scene and spent between 10 and 12 hours removing evidence at the property. So it is understood, according to this new report that showed up overnight, that Virginia took pills, and it is deemed an OD, but questions remain over whether she intended to unalive herself. And frankly, again, I have to say that on this platform, I have to use the term unalive because of the algorithm. So questions remain. Was this an intentional unalivement, or was it actually an OD? So this attorney of hers, Carrie, again, was at the house. And she's like, we've got a big question marks over this. There is unalivement, and then there's misadventure, she said. I didn't see her in the room. So obviously, she was found in her bedroom. That's what that reads to me. I wasn't in there. The family said, I'm quoting her words. These are the words of Virginia's attorney who was taking care of the matter between Robbie and herself. I didn't see her in the room. I wasn't in there. The family said what the family has said, but I'm not going to speculate whether it was, and I'm using this word, unalivement or accidental. You'll all be aware that she's been in hospital. She's been on medications. Has she just taken too many painkillers? She goes on. Was she intentionally doing it? I don't even know what the cause of death was. Carrie, who has represented Virginia since the new year, added she was in a lot of pain, but she was looking forward to things in the future. She goes on to say she wanted to renovate this house and all sorts of things like that. There were plans that she had for the future. I'd spoken to her in the days before. I was meant to be up here today, right now, having a meeting with her. so we could sort out some of her legal affairs. I was here this time last week, and things were positive. Then she goes on to say, I'm a defense lawyer, so I don't like to speculate about things. I like beyond reasonable doubt. Until the evidence is in, we're just, drawing conclusions, she said. Officially, the police told me nothing. They didn't even confirm that she was expired. I'm going to use that word. That's how little information the police have provided to me. She goes on to add, this has been a complete shock to us all. If any of us had thought she was going to commit unalivement, of course, we would have taken more steps, put her into a clinic, or get her some more help. When I got the phone call, I was like, are you joking? Because there were no signs that something like that was being considered. Like, she just did not think that Virginia was in that state of mind. And she goes on to add, it could be up to 2 years before a coroner's report is filed. And then a spokesperson for the Perth coroner said, I can confirm Miss Giuffre's death has been reported to the coroner's court, and then that the coroner will be investigating the circumstances, and the court will inform the senior next of kin of these investigations, which are not made public. The senior next of kin, because she is not divorced officially, is going to be Robert Giuffre, meaning her husband, that she was in the process of getting a divorce from. So then it goes on, her attorney goes on to say that there are no suspicious circumstances as far as we are aware, but she added, given the recent events, it's likely that we will never know. The police were just very, very vague. She goes on to add, I know she's gone, but how that happened, I don't know. I'm not sure we'll ever know. I mean, sometimes the coroner may say it was unalivement, the coroner will say it was misadventure, or the coroner may say it is inconclusive. So Virginia's body has been removed from the house in near Gabby, Western Australia, and toxicology tests are expected to be carried out in the coming days. But up to 6 police officers, including 4 from Major Crimes Unit, poured over the scene after it was just, the thing was reported and the paramedics had shown up. But the Western Australia police have declined to provide any additional details on the circumstances. And so her attorney said, I'm not aware of a suicide note. I'm not saying there was or wasn't a note, but I'm not aware of any notes. I haven't been told about one, so I can't say if there was or not. The police came in and did all their stuff, and they would have taken all the evidence. If any of us had thought that she was going to unalive, we would have taken more steps, put her into a clinic, or get her more help. All right, so her attorney, who again, I mean, I want to emphasize that her attorney is so I looked her up, and let me just find where she's a criminal defense attorney. So whatever is happening in the court between Virginia and her estranged husband appears to be very serious, very serious. Now this is the same attorney who, let me just find my note here. Okay, this is the same attorney. We know that when Virginia was in the hospital and she posted that note to Instagram about the number of days she had to live, Um, it was karrielouden, this attorney, who requested that her court appearance for allegedly violating a domestic violence restraining order be postponed. She had been scheduled to appear in an Australian court on Wednesday, April 9th, for a hearing about the family violence restraining order obtained by her husband of 22 years, Robert Giuffre, earlier this year, according to online court reports. So her attorney, this woman, did ask for the hearing to be postponed, and a judge granted the adjournment. Virginia was released from the Sir Charles Gardner Hospital in Perth, Australia on Monday, April 7th. And Magistrate Andrew Maugan agreed to the adjournment and said that Virginia would need to enter her plea on June 11th. Virginia was not required to appear in court on that Wednesday. Her attorney appeared on behalf of her. And then again, Virginia told People magazine in an exclusive statement on April the 5th, I was able to fight back against Ghislaine Maxwell and J.E., who abused and transportationed me, but she claimed I was unable to escape the domestic violence in my marriage until recently. After my husband's latest physical assault, I can no longer stay silent. Virginia spokesperson said Virginia reported the January 9th, 2025 incident in Dunsborough to police, who did not charge Robert for any crime. And People magazine have been trying to obtain the initial report, but they have been unable to get their hands on it. And then his attorney, meaning Robert's attorney, declined to comment. Virginia was going to file a restraining order against Robert, but he beat her to the punch, her brother Sky said. And now she's on the defense. And she came forward about the incident because she almost unalived from the injuries she sustained from the beating that she got on January the 9th. Her sister-in-law, Amanda Roberts, told People magazine. But, the fact that karrielouden, who is her attorney and has been since January, was at the scene when it was discovered that, something horrific had happened to Virginia, that she witnessed a team of major crime cops, quote, raced to the scene, spending between 10 and 12 hours removing evidence. What evidence are they removing from Virginia's house? This raises a lot of questions. Her attorney is sort of, she's inconclusive. She does not know. I think it's clear that Virginia was self-medicating, as what Ryan Dawson said. Now we know it was pain pills. That makes sense. She was in a lot of pain. She did discover that there was something going on. She was experiencing some kidney issues. She was told something at the hospital, which made her concerned about whether or not she was going to survive this. And I know that the other victims are terrified, that they think that this was something that was done to her. Sean Atwood has described this kind of in a really well stated manner, saying that something like this could happen by her own hand, but sort of orchestrated, sort of engineered by outside factors that then sort of things happen, maybe the accident, the online trolling, certain things done psychologically to lead a person like Virginia to do something like this, theoretically by her own hand, but in a way, of course, moved forward by external forces. 90% of the people who are following this case and the tragic loss of Virginia, do not want to believe that she would do this to herself. They do not want, her attorney doesn't know what happened, but to hear that 10 to 12 hours were spent by police officers removing information from her house. What information are they moving? Anyway, because I am unsure whether or not I'm going to be able to do my scheduled podcast with Sean Atwood, which was supposed to be today at 1:00, but we had a miscommunication yesterday. On X, for reasons unknown to me, Elon Musk, while I'm still on X, despite the fact that he removed my entire account in October of 2022, I cannot DM him, or I can't DM victims of JE. I can DM other people, but I can no longer DM them. Initially, I thought it was just something wrong with Sean's account. So I'm like, what's going on? And then I went offline for a little bit to get some sleep. Meanwhile, he was trying to schedule me to show up on his show. I didn't know. I thought it was yesterday at 1:00, which is why I did a live at 1:00 in the afternoon yesterday. But it turns out that he had sort of said, let's do it tomorrow. So I'm not sure, because frankly, I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of catching up work to do. And so I just read this. I wanted to bring it to your attention. And that's where we are, folks, So I am curious to hear what you have to say. I understand that this is a very sort of like it's a triggering time for all of us who have been supportive of Virginia, following the JE case. Many of us have sort of been re-triggered. We're mourning the loss of an incredible woman. We're still trying to wrap our minds around what's going on. And now her attorney has come out and said, hey, they were in there. They didn't tell me anything. They didn't let me into the room, but they spent 10 to 12 hours removing stuff from her house. That's kind of strange. So I'm gonna, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this.